Hey, what is going on? It is 12 noon on Wednesday, which means it's time for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Charisma, and this show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate. We're here every Wednesday, 12 noon Eastern Time, to help you understand the technical side of the real estate industry. And one of the things that's going to seem really technical at first, until you start actually doing it, is lead generation. And it's usually just more overwhelming than anything, especially when you're a new agent of, okay, how do I get my first leads? And not just how do you get your first leads, because you could probably find your way to a lead or two without much know-how or intention, but now how do you develop a consistent flow of leads, a pipeline, if you will? We'll be talking about that term pipeline and really understanding that concept so you could start to organize these leads that you're coming in from these different sources we'll be talking about today. So I'm really excited to share today's episode with you. Leads are such an important part of the real estate business because more leads means more deals, and more deals means more money. And who doesn't want more money from their real estate business? So if that's you, if you want some more money, if you want to get some money, if you want to just focus on getting leads and you know that you focus on getting leads and the money will follow, strap yourself in, get ready for this week's episode of Ask the Instructor. I'm John Charisma. The show is brought to you by the Tampa School of Real Estate.
You are watching Ask the Instructor. Absorb the knowledge. Become the expert.
Hey, welcome back to this week's episode of Ask the Instructor, where we're talking about lead generation. Lead generation. So whether you're just trying to get your first couple of leads or you're just trying now to start to build a more consistent flow of leads, either way, you'll probably be able to implement some of these strategies. Now, ultimately, you want a well-balanced set of strategies for obtaining leads. You want a few set things that you're going to be doing on a consistent basis. And you want this to be very diversified across a few of these different types ultimately, so if you're having an issue with one of your lead sources, your business doesn't shut off. Now, when you're first starting out, focus on one of these. Focus on doing one of these methods very well, and then move on to adding a second one and doing that very well. And then move on to adding a third one and continue to build this out. But starting out, you've got to focus on one of these, because if you're all over the place, you're just going to be running in circles rather than going in a particular direction. So you want to focus your efforts so that way you're going to get the most immediate results. Because if you don't focus your efforts, results will eventually come, but not as quickly as when you focus your efforts. So method number one I want to touch on is your sphere. Now, not too miraculous. This is a very obvious one. What is your sphere of influence? Well, that's the people that you know already. Your friends, your family members. But not just your friends and family members. How about your coworkers at your current or previous jobs? You know, maybe you've been in your current job for a few years, but what did you do before that? Who did you know from them? It doesn't matter if you've maybe had some sort of falling out with them. If you've had a falling out with somebody over time, where you maybe, you just don't talk to them anymore. Look, time heals all wounds. So again, focusing on one strategy, your sphere of influence should be something absolutely that you're working with immediately right when you first get your real estate license. Now, maybe you just moved here from another state, from another city. Well, who did you know there that you're going to call up and tell them how great it is living in Florida, how much you love it, and how are things back home? It'd be so great if you guys moved down here. You think about it, I've actually got my real estate license. It'd really help me out, as a matter of fact, if you know anybody. So this I'm going to put up here as number two, and this is why working your sphere of influence is so important. Because your sphere of influence, your friends, your family, your coworkers, and again, we could expand out farther and further. People you went to school with, high school, college, whatever it is, doesn't matter how long it has been since you've talked to them. have some sort of script worked up so you've got something to say, so you're not just sitting on the phone. Hey, I know we haven't talked in like 5 years, but I got my real estate license now. Spice it up, practice this a little bit. Again, focus on this to make it good. We're going to list out a bunch of different ways to generate leads, and I highly recommend that everyone focus on their sphere of influence, because again, you already know these people to a certain extent, and one of the most important things people look for in their real estate agent, when they're hiring a realtor, when they're hiring a real estate professional, yes, they want knowledge and experience and blah, 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 the other stuff, but the reason why they want all of that is because they're using that as metrics of trust. Because if you don't have an established relationship with somebody, they don't have any trust with you. And when they don't have any trust with you, they're looking at these other sources to establish trust. Now, your sphere of influence will probably already have some degree of trust with you. They already know who you are. And if they've known you long enough, they probably have a general idea of what type of person you are, your standards, your morals, your ethics, at least a basic idea, depending on how much it is that they know you. And this is a big mystery for a lot of people when they're dealing with somebody brand new that they've never met before. So, not only your sphere though, but sphere referrals. Sphere referrals. So, the people that your sphere of influence knows. So again, maybe you just moved to, let's say, Tampa. You just moved to Tampa and you're calling back home to your friends, your family members. You're talking up Florida. You're telling them, oh yeah, Florida, it's so great. What is the temperature right now? Yeah, 73 degrees there. How is it back up there in Michigan, back up there in New York, back up there in wherever it is that you came from? And there might be other people that also like, hey, let's go check out what's going on down there in Florida. Yeah, you guys should come to visit. It's amazing down here. You wouldn't believe it. Oh, really? Yeah, I actually just got my real estate license. So if you guys ever want to move down here, give me a call. I'm just kidding. But seriously, I do have my real estate license. Now, do you know anybody that would want to move to Florida? Because, it's really great down here. I'd love to, if you'd send them down here, I'd show off the place and really make sure that they're well taken care of. It'd really be helping me out. Now, if you've got a connection or a relationship with them, they'll want to help you. They'll want to do business with you. They'll want to move down to Florida if they, again, have some degree of trust with you. It might not be a reality for them, though, and that's what you have to come to terms with, and that's why the pipeline is so important, is people want to do things, but just because they want to do something doesn't mean that they will do something, or at least that they won't do it right now. They might do it maybe in a few years. Or maybe never. Maybe they just talk about it forever. Does that mean you should cut them off as a relationship? If they're just a dreamer, if they just dream about, maybe moving to Florida? No. And look, this might not be somebody moving across the country. This could just be people that you're talking to on a daily basis. Maybe your sphere of influence involves people that are here in Tampa or wherever it is that you are. And it's not that they don't want to, make this big move across the country. It's just that they don't want to move across town. They still, it's a big decision. And that's why the pipeline is important, to keep everything organized of all of your leads. So you can make notes. So you can keep track of, okay, this person said that if, when their kids graduate school, they want to move. Well, how old are their kids? What year is that? What are we looking at here? Keep those notes in your CRM, in your contact relationship manager, so that way you can manage your relationships with your contacts. And that's a big part of the sphere. And this is why I recommend, if whatever stage you're at, brand new to lead generation, or if you just haven't been doing sphere or focusing on it too much already, you need to make this a big part, because you already have relationships with people. And you could capitalize on those relationships. And again, even if they're across the country, they might know somebody who knows somebody who knows somebody that wants to move to Florida. And you want to ensure that they know that you are their real estate expert. And again, that goes in addition to whoever it is that you might meet. Who is it that you work with? Who is it that you have in your circles already? If you have kids, where do your kids go to school? What about the PTA? What about all the sports leagues and whatnot, where parents gather together? It's a great opportunity to build your network, build your sphere of influence, and find out who your sphere also knows. And again, just keep track of this, because remember, you're playing the long game a lot of time with the whole pipeline. Now, I want to touch on a few other methods, because we're going to cover 7 today. We're going to cram 7 in this episode, and some of these topics we've done Ask the Instructor and State of Real Estate videos already, so definitely make sure you check out after the show our Success Center at tampaschool.com, where you could go and seek out a lot of the, all of actually, our previous videos that we've put out there on a lot of these more specific topics, if you want to find more about them. Now, one of the ways that is a very popular method of generating leads, and it's a very easy, pretty hands-off method of generating leads, the catch is it comes at a cost, and that's your pay-per-lead services. Now, I want to mention pay-per-lead services. Now, do I recommend pay-per-lead services? Now, if we're doing this in order of importance, this one would probably be last on the list. But look, this isn't in order of importance because there's no one-size-fits-all solution for every business. Now, I would say if we were going to put these in order, these need to be at the top of the list, because working your sphere and sphere referrals will build a base that you slowly add your clients into. As your contacts become clients and past clients, they now become part of your sphere, and they also open up the door to more referrals. So your business needs to have a sphere of influence, and that's what you want to focus on setting up and building a foundation for right away. Your sphere of influence doesn't generate business right away all the time, but it will generate business, especially as it starts to build in size and build in momentum, and you start to reach further into referrals of your sphere. You can get a lot of business from there. And just focusing on this, there's a lot of agents that just use this as their source of leads and business. Once you've built this up enough, you could in theory do that, depending on how much you want to grow your business to. Now, the pay-per-lead services, these are a really easy turnkey method, but the problem is the cost. These are going to be some of the most expensive leads when you compare the cost it is to generate leads across other methods, other platforms, other ways it is you could generate leads. Now, if you're new to generating leads, this might seem attractive because it takes a lot of the expertise out of the equation, where you're going to basically be handed leads by whether it's Zillow, Realtor.com, Trulia, Homes.com, whatever website it is that you're subscribing to, but they're going to come at a pretty hefty price, again, compared to other leads. Now, if you're good at converting these leads and turning these leads into business, we make a lot of money on the commission, and even the most expensive leads in these pay-per-lead services have a very high return on investment when they actually transact. So if you have a good conversion ratio, this, again, might not be the most cost-effective way to generate leads, but it's a good turnkey method where you could basically just dial it in. And what's also really nice about these services as well, especially if you're kind of a one-person operation, is they have concierge teams as well now. A lot of these platforms have concierges basically that are going to warm up the leads, almost like an inside sales agent would, where they're basically communicating with these leads, finding out how serious they are, and ultimately helping set appointments. Again, that's going to come at a cost, though. Can it be worth it? Absolutely, as long as you're closing on these leads. But for that reason, I wouldn't start right away with one of these turnkey services, because all you got to do is not even swipe a credit card, dial in the numbers. You just dial in the numbers for your credit card or Apple Pay it or however it is that they're taking the payment, and all of a sudden, boom, you've got leads. You didn't have to work for them, just had to give them money. And now when you don't have to work for it, especially when you're just dialing in some numbers for the credit card, it kind of disconnects what you're investing in each and every one of these leads. And what happens a lot of times when new agents start right away with one of these pay-per-lead services is they don't have the best conversion ratios, because these are very cold leads. Even when you have these concierge teams warming them up for you, these leads don't really know who you are. You don't have any relationship with them. So you've got to work extra hard to build this all up. And for as much as these leads cost, that's a lot of work for that there. And a lot of people get blinded by the fact that, oh, well, these are expensive leads, they must be quality leads. Not necessarily. They might still require some work on your part to convert them into a loyal believer of you and your services and what you can do for them and help them achieving their home ownership dreams. So you've got a high burden on that still, especially because, again, these people really don't know who you are. They know who Zillow is, they know who Realtor.com is, that's where they're searching, and they might just end up back on those websites if you rub them the wrong way. They might not even be polite enough, or they might be too polite where they don't want to tell you that you rubbed them the wrong way. They just go on and go find another agent they could talk to. So there's a lot of agents out there that make a good return on investment from pay-per-lead services, but I would really dial in your lead generation strategies and conversion strategies through these other methods before you start looking at something like this, especially, again, focusing on your sphere of influence. Now, if you want to advertise online, if you want to be online, and look, I don't blame you, everyone's online, especially since 2020 happened. Really, the whole, if whatever that wasn't online just got pushed right online, and we're pretty much sticking with that because the internet's generally a pretty cool thing. So rather than doing a pay-per-lead service, I would say have your own website with managed ad spend. If you want to spend money to generate leads, I would recommend this method every day over this method. I would recommend every day a website with ad spend over a pay-per-lead service. Take the dollar per dollar that you would spend in a pay-per-lead service and instead invest that in a website with ad spend. You're probably going to get a much higher return on investment, because with your own website, using ad spend through Google and Facebook and other advertising platforms, especially when this is managed for you, you could usually get your ad spend managed for a small percentage of what you're spending on the ads. Maybe 10%, maybe 25%, 30%, depends on the company you're dealing with. But if you're doing something like this, get with a website that already has lead management, ad management as a service that they provide. Find something where it's packaged together. It's typically a little bit more expensive than if you were to set it up on your own. But again, there is the value in the turnkey. And this method, especially as you start to spend more money in advertising, will produce leads at a significantly lower price typically than what anything you'll get close to with a pay-per-lead service. And the benefit here is these people, you're advertising your brand. It's your own website where you can control everything. You control the branding, you control the experience. Not Zillow, not Realtor.com. So you're going to get a lot more quality leads coming in off of your website than you would off of maybe some sort of pay-per-lead service. Now, regardless of where they're coming from, whether it's your sphere, a website, pay-per-lead service, there's going to be leads that are low quality or not ready right now, or leads that are going to be ready in a year from now, or leads maybe that'll never be ready, but they might still be a source of referrals. Every contact that you add to your database is now part of your sphere. And if you're not getting business from your sphere, you could also get business from your sphere's referral. If you're advertising and you got to shut off your advertising, if you don't have any sphere built up, you've got no source of leads, which is why you want to constantly be reinforcing, building your sphere of influence. There's a lot of ways you could do this, whether it's sending out content, whether you're doing that through emails, through videos, through photos about properties, through blog posts, developing a following basically. That's what you're trying to do across this year, is gain a following. Through your Facebook, through your Instagram, through your Twitter, through your TikTok, through your Snapchat, if that's still a thing when you guys are watching this video. Whatever platform that's popular out there now that you have people that might be following you on, that's where you want to focus on pushing out content and information that reinforces the idea that you are their real estate professional. You might post content all the time on platforms, but if you're never talking about real estate, if you're never alluding to real estate, they might know who you are, but they don't know what you do or how you could help them. Whereas if, in addition to your normal everyday life that you push out content about, whatever platform it is that you're using, that you also work in there the story about real estate. And you've seen these shows on HGTV or Bravo or Travel Channel or whatever it is, all these real estate shows. There's a reason why they spend millions of dollars creating these shows, because people watch them. People find them entertaining. Now, our real life might not be as entertaining as the TV shows, but any way we could kind of make it look like a TV show, that's going to help us gain attention. If you make something look like a TV show, people will watch it. That's why we kind of look like a TV show here. People will watch it. People are looking for a source of entertainment. And if you can make that entertainment pertaining to real estate. And whichever way, maybe you're not a video person, but maybe you can entertain them through emails or phone calls, or maybe you're a more personal type of touch. And the personal touch goes a lot farther than an email or a social media post would. With all these lead generation strategies, remember to not be passive. Remember to focus on doing something. Doing the most that's going to get you the most leads. You focus on doing that rather than asking, what is the least that I could do? That's going to help you generate a lot more leads. Now, let's go back to not spending money. These are great options if you want to spend money. Again, the website with ad spend being better than a pay-per-lead service. And one more thing on this. Can you just have a website without ad spend? Well, yeah, you can have a website without ad spend. But if you don't spend money on ads, your website's probably not going to get many people looking at it. And we're talking, we need not just hundreds of people looking at your website, we need thousands of people on your website. Because most people look at your website and leave. Just because they're on your website doesn't mean they're going to buy a house. They might not even want to fill out a contact form. So we need to push a lot of people onto that website, and the way you do that is with ad spend. So if you're not going to back up your website with ad spend, focus on other methods to get leads, at least at first. And then you can start to build this out when you have the funding necessary to expand your lead generation strategies further. But this is a good tried and true method right here that not everybody is excited about, but once you kind of get past the idea of talking to strangers, door knocking is a phenomenal way to meet people and quickly build a personal relationship with them. Now, a lot of people are scared to door knock at first, and we've done a lot of episodes on door knocking. So if you're interested in doing this, check out our previous episodes of Ask the Instructor in the State of Real Estate on door knocking. Because we break it down, we talk about scripts, we talk about the strategies behind it. But to make a long story short, door knocking will work. Door knocking will get you a lot of business if you do it consistently. Now, it's a time-consuming process, but it's a very cheap process because it really doesn't cost much but your time. You're investing what they call sweat equity. You're investing your own work to build something. You're using your labor to generate money. Now, the difference is you're just not being paid on an hourly or weekly or daily basis. You're not paid for working, you're paid for results, typically. Normally, we're on a commission basis in real estate. So we talk to enough people, we're going to eventually get results. And those results, again, with as much as a commission is just from one sale, that will help cover all the hours it is that we're spending knocking on doors, talking to people. Remember with this, though, you're building your sphere. Just because you knock on their door doesn't mean they're going to want to sell their house. Well, of course not. That's only if they answer. No. If they answer the door, that doesn't mean they want to sell their house. Well, what about if they saw my shirt that says ABC Realty Group? If they see that on there that says I'm with this company, they must know I'm a realtor, and if they answer, they must want to sell. Well, you're kind of on the right track because they might be making those assumptions in your head, because there's a lot of times when people look who's out there and they're going to pretend they're not home. It's going to happen. That's okay. There's another house you can knock on in the next door. Just try not to look too intimidating so that they'll want to talk to you. But if somebody does actually talk to you, especially if they already kind of see that, okay, you're some sort of professional, you're some sort of salesperson, that means that they want to hear you out. They want to hear what you have to say. They want to hear the reason why you chose to show up at their door. Out of all the doors in the world, why you're at their door, why they're so special to be graced with your presence. They're curious. That's why they answer the door. Does that mean they want to sell their house right now? Probably not, but maybe they're thinking about it. Maybe it's something they want to do down the road. Maybe they're curious about what the current value of their property is. They become part of your sphere. Make sure you get them in your database, get contact info so you can send them your little neighborhood newsletter, or again, whatever content you're going to use to entertain them with real estate. Remember, entertaining with real estate, that's going to help them keep attention on you. And when they have attention on you, that's going to help keep you top of mind when they think about selling their home. Or when they're having a conversation with their friends about their friends selling their home. Oh, you know what? I've got a great real estate agent for you. There's this guy in our neighborhood, and he's the best real estate agent I've ever seen. You guys said, look, it's up to you if you want to use him, but I would at least give him a call there. He's definitely knows his stuff. If you build a loyal fan base, you will get leads that way. That's what your sphere is all about. And your sphere plays along with all these other methods of you generating leads. Because this is just about generating the leads. The sphere, that's more about converting the leads. Because once they're in your sphere, once you got them in your orbit, it's about bringing them in. Bringing them in till eventually when they're ready to make that transaction. Might be a day, might be a month, might be a year, might be 10 years. Keep them in your pipeline though. There's a lot of automated methods you could use for follow-up, as well as some personal touches every now and then to keep that relationship strong. So next method I want to touch on. Another method, if you're not looking to spend money, it's another sweat equity type of strategy, and that's cold calling. Now, who would you call? Who are you going to pick up the phone and call? Now, keep in mind the do not call list, all the other stuff. Talk to your broker. Review some of our other videos we've done on cold calling and telemarketing. If you've done some cold calling and telemarketing before, there's no reason why you shouldn't be doing that for real estate. And even if you haven't done it before, maybe you're scared of the phone, don't be. That phone is your gateway, your portal to money. So the more people you've got on the phone, the more likely you're going to do a deal. Because if no one calls you, no one texts you. There's a lot of text messages that go on today, but if you don't have anybody communicating with you, you're not going to have any deals because you don't have any clients. So somebody's got to make that first phone call, and if it's not going to be your clients, why not it be you? So who do you call? If you do want to make the calls, you could call for sale by owners. Explain to them some of the benefits of listing with an agent. You could call expired listings. Hey, what happened? How come your house didn't sell? That's so crazy. Almost anything sells right now. I don't understand. What do you think the problem was? Why do you think the property didn't sell? Doesn't matter what you think as the agent, it matters what the seller thinks because they have firsthand experience of what actually went on. Maybe they had a terrible agent. Maybe their property was overpriced. Maybe they didn't get any showings. Who knows? You don't know. Ask them. Hey, what happened? Why didn't this sell? I'm curious. I'm trying to figure out what's going on in here. I mean, I work with a lot of buyers, and I don't know if this is going to fit for them, but I could definitely work it further. I mean, what kind of info can you give me? Just start a conversation. So, for sale by owners, expired listings, you could call pre-foreclosure. There's now this might involve some sort of cost for you to buy some of these lists, but it's usually a pretty low cost to buy most of this data, if it's not something your broker might offer to you already. There's also where you could call people that are just likely to move, where there's some data algorithm out there that calculates that, hey, these people are probably most likely to move here, and you could just go through and calling them and introducing yourself, almost like you're door knocking, but you're doing it virtually. So you could reach a lot more people that way. I mean, it might not be as impactful as meeting them face to face, but by reaching more people, you might be able to drum up more business or maybe focus more on potential business rather than just knocking on every door just because they're close to another, because you're not going to go drive one side of town, knock on this door, then drive another side, knock on this door, then go over here, knock on this door. No, you just go door to door, knocking on the doors, because that way you hit the most amount of doors. You get the most amount of contacts in. And the last method I want to throw up here for you guys is events. Great way to generate leads are through events. These events could be an open house. You might not have a listing to hold an open house. Okay, well, what kind of listing can you borrow? Who's out there that's got a listing that doesn't want to hold an open house? Find out. Find out who's got a listing who doesn't want to hold an open house. Why do people not want to hold an open house when you can generate all kinds of leads there? Because they're too busy. They got better things to do. They've already got a source of leads. They've already got consistent leads, and they don't really need more leads. Or maybe they're not ambitious, or maybe they're too busy. Who knows? But if they're not already holding open houses, hey, let's find out why, and let's see if they wouldn't mind me holding open houses. What kind of deal can we make? You know, even if I got to do this for free and not even take any commission, if the house does sell, because that's what I got to do to make the agreement with this agent, because they're really being tough and they don't want to help me out. So maybe we agree to, hey, look, if I sell it, I won't even take a commission. You can maybe cold call for sale by owners and say, hey, look, let me come out there, hold an open house, see how many people I can get in the property there, see if I can help you guys out. I won't charge you guys any commission if it sells. I just want to meet all the people that are interested in buying properties to see if I can find a couple of buyers there. Does that sound like something that would be a win-win for the both of us? Maybe you do charge them. Maybe you do get them to agree to list the property with you. Maybe no one does want to buy it at the open house, but they see how good you are at marketing and they're like, you know what? Why don't you try to put this on the market? Let's see what you can do. Maybe they don't pay you as much as you would normally charge, you'd want, but hey, maybe it's still something. Maybe it gives you a listing so you've got some inventory. What other type of events can you do? You could really just hold some sort of get together with friends, family members, just building, focusing on that sphere. Networking events we could talk about. Maybe not necessarily networking with other realtors because, well, if they're already a realtor, they don't need a realtor. But maybe networking in other types of circles and other events for people that might not have a realtor. That will probably generate some business. It'll at least build your sphere of influence. And if you build your sphere of influence, you will get more business because you'll have more people paying attention to you. You could do classes and seminars. You could do a first-time home buyer seminar or a how to invest in real estate. Or maybe you're doing some sort of event about refinancing. You're partnering with a mortgage lender. And you might say, well, John, why do I care about a refinance? Well, if they're thinking about refinancing, what are they going to do with that money? Do they want to maybe invest it in real estate? Or, maybe they're even going to potentially think about selling real estate. Now, this one might benefit the lender a little bit more, but this is where you could maybe develop a win-win relationship with a lender where you both help each other out and help each other promote each other and get more leads through events. And look, we go on and on all day of all different ways to generate leads. But what's important isn't that you're doing all of these. It's important that you're doing. It's important that you get one of these methods that you focus on. You focus on your sphere first, focus on getting some referrals also maybe from that sphere, and as you incorporate some of these other strategies, don't just try it and then give up and move on to something else. Figure out which one of these you want to commit to, which one of these you're going to focus on being good at, so that way you're able to build your sphere, and that alone will result in more business eventually. If you're not finding business right away, remember the pipeline. The pipeline is all about the business that you have coming down the road. People that maybe aren't ready to buy now, but in 6 months they will be. So you're maintaining that relationship. You're warming them up. And also along the way, you might be able to get some referrals from them as well. If I were to make a recommendation, if you're kind of on the fence, you're like, hey, what should I do? Number one, focus on your sphere. Number two, I wouldn't recommend spending money right away. So I wouldn't recommend doing these ones right away. If you do want to spend money, I would recommend the website over a pay-per-lead service. But again, remember, website with ad spend, because if you're not going to spend money on ads, you're probably not going to get much traffic on your website, and then therefore whatever you're spending on your website is probably a waste then if you don't have traffic on there. So if you're going to do this, make sure you've got budgeted for ad spend so you could figure out how many leads it is that you'll be able to get off of this. And if you talk to some website provider that has ad spend services where they will manage your ad spend and help you set up the ads, this takes the learning curve out of the equation. Yes, it does come at an additional cost, but this is usually a pretty small fee. And again, dollar for dollar, you're probably going to end up a lot better return on investment with your own website than you would a pay-per-lead service. And usually these have CRM systems and things like that built in. They're going to help you manage your sphere as well, and you could direct them back to the website. But again, this is going to cost money. And if you don't have the resources, the capital to invest in that right away, focus on some of these other methods to generate leads. Door knocking, cold calling, holding an event. Holding an event that might cost a little bit of money, but hey, maybe some sort of refreshments or something like that. And if you're working with a lender who is also going to co-sponsor the event, maybe they're going to pay for the refreshments. Maybe you're just there to help gather the people together. There's a lot of lenders, title companies, all aspects of services that serve the real estate industry that want to be in that position to have more clients, to meet more people so they can gain more business. So take advantage of that. But again, don't be all over the place. Eventually, I would recommend that you have a multifaceted strategy where you've got these all dialed in and you're generating more and more business. But you don't get to that point without perfecting each of these strategies. It's not about how many swings you take, it's a matter of you actually hitting the ball. So you've got to practice and get it down and get it right. And then you can expand. So look, that's 7 methods to generate leads. We can go on with more and more. If you guys like today's episode, if you want to see more methods to generate leads, if you want to go in detail on any of these in particular, let us know in the comments. Hit us with a thumbs up of today's episode. If you like today's episode, you want more stuff on leads, make sure you hit that bell icon so you get notifications whenever it is that we've got new content, new videos to help you better understand the real estate industry and better understand how to grow your real estate business. We're here to help you achieve your dream real estate career, whatever that definition means to you. So whatever way it is we can help you achieve that career, give us a call. Phone number is 813-333-2676. Again, that's 813-333-2676. We've got advisors standing by to answer any questions you have and assist you in any way that they can. So thank you guys for tuning in today, and I'll see you on Friday for State of Real Estate.
The most powerful tool to study for your real estate exam is the Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate. We've used our years of experience in preparing students for the Florida real estate exam to bring you the most powerful exam study tool available. In the Question Simulator, you'll be able to go directly to a particular unit so you can focus on the sections where you need the most practice. We have also included the percentages of each unit so you know which units are the most important for your real estate exam. Every question will immediately give you detailed feedback, which is almost always more important than the question or the answer themselves. After completing all the questions in a particular unit, you can go through question by question and review any that you've gotten wrong. You could also print out a report at the end of each quiz. The Question Simulator from Tampa School of Real Estate is 100% mobile compatible, so you can practice with test questions anywhere you have your phone with you. Enroll now at questionsimulator.com and get ready to pass your exam.